All right, there we go. We're live. All right. Okay. I wanted to go on early today before the Dodger game and everything. If anybody's on, please like and write a little comment saying that you're on. That would be appreciated. Also, if you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. I wanted to give an update. I want to thank everybody who was on, a couple days ago when I went live, and for all the people who left all the comments and, all the support for my test. I took the CAT scan on Friday, and let's see, I get nervous when I go to take a CAT scan or anything in tubes. So I did it though. I go back on Tuesday for my results. I see the transplant kidney transplant doctor. So I'll have an update for that then. What I want to talk about today is I'm going back live in my regular Facebook. Usually I go live in my Facebook group. So my Facebook group is, what is it even called? It's a business Facebook group. Anybody's interested, please let me know. I'll put the link in the description. And, I'm trying to grow. I'm going to start growing the Facebook group. I'm going to change it up. I haven't yet. I'm working on a few other things, but I'm really going to start putting most of my content on the Facebook group. And it's a place where just like-minded people, people who are, like-minded and supportive people. Okay. So, what else do I want to talk about? I'm starting to work on a website, and I'm working on creating my own course. I'm going to start with like a little 5-day challenge that I'll be talking about, fairly soon. But I want to start, letting people know what's going on. Also, I'm working on a podcast. I'm working on a podcast with a friend of mine. Well, two friends of mine, but one, we're going to be doing it together. And I'm really excited about it. We're going to have, some guests. It's going to incorporate, both of our personalities, and it's going to be, how do you say it? Like, health, entrepreneurship, and, coaching. A lot of people know I was a softball coach for many years, and I think coaching is amazing, but I'll talk about that more later. Let's see. Another thing I'm working on. I really like collecting. I collect a bunch of random stuff, a lot of comic books, action figures. It's just something I like doing. I've been doing it since I was a kid. One of the reasons when I really started doing it a lot more was, when I really started collecting again a lot was after my transplant. A lot of people who knew me would buy me comic books, buy me certain stuff, and it really kind of after, I was in the hospital when I was about 14, starting high school. So that next year I was at home. I was homeschooled after I got out of the hospital, and and I didn't really have anything to do, so I would just go. I just collected a lot of stuff. So I'll be talking about that more, and I'm going to start doing. I might do my own YouTube channel about that, but I'm going to start doing like unboxing and just sharing what I collect, just because I think it's cool. All right, but today the big thing I'm talking about today is I'm going to start this thing called Sunday Stories, and the stories are stories from when I was sick. And just things I think, would be good to share. The main focus on it is going to be the story, what I learned from the story, and why I think it's good to share the story. All right, so the first story I'm going to share today is kind of incorporates a few different things. Again, I see there's a couple people on. Please like and say hi. I'll really appreciate it. Let's see. So the story I'm going to talk about today is, I was in the hospital for 7 months. As a kid waiting for a transplant when I got sick, and during that time, I had so many different experiences. I shared the other day about people dying around me, and I got a good amount of reaction from that, not like comments and stuff, and people saying that it's good to hear those stories and they take what they take from it. It's good. So that's what this is all about. So the first story I'm going to share is being in the hospital for 7 months. What is the biggest takeaway I think I got from it? All right, so as a transplant patient, you have to take medication for the rest of your life. All right, and it was hard to understand what that meant when I first was told that, because I never took medication. I never had to. I never I never had to take medication. Every now and then when I was sick, I took medication, but I went from having heart problems, but nothing that ever affected me mainly, and then I got so sick. I was in the hospital for 7 months, and then as a kid, they started. I'm sure every transplant team, they start letting you know what's gonna happen, in the process of a transplant. And one of the biggest things is your medication. They stress your medication because your medication is what's saving your life. So as of today, I still take a lot of medication. I take prednisone, which is a steroid still. I take 2 transplant anti-rejection medications. I take a blood pressure medication. I take a bunch of vitamins, and I altogether every day I probably take around 25-30 pills, give or take. And that's daily. I take it twice a day. I take it in the morning, take it in the night. And this is something I've been doing for the last almost 25 years now. So in the hospital, as at a children's hospital, they really stress on you. They stressed on me. Medication, medication, medication. Okay? And they stress to the family. Because as a kid, you have to make sure your family understands, because they're the ones who are going to be responsible. But I wasn't like a child. I was about 14 when all this was happening, and it was something that I had to take personal responsibility for. Okay? Because the biggest thing is, if I didn't want to take it, it was really up to me. I know a lot of people who had transplant, and they were really down about everything that was happening, and different experiences. So one of the things, I really took it serious, and I think a lot of that had to do with all the time I was in the hospital and all the times I was told, you got to take your medication, you got to take your medication. I remember, I think there was one patient who ended up getting sick when I was in the hospital still, and coming back to the hospital, and because he wasn't taking his medication like he was supposed to. So it's one of those things where they say, you never miss a dose. You got to be so careful about it, and it's something that just is second nature to me with all the time that I've been since my transplant. Let's see. So yeah, so I talked to my cardiologist about this a couple years ago, and then because I know of other people who didn't take it so serious, and they ended up getting sick, and they have to deal with the consequences of not taking your medication. One person in general in that I could give an example to about is this. I won't say his name. He was a young man I went to visit when I was about a year or two after transplant, and he was somebody I went to go visit. It was about a year or two after. He was around my age, maybe a little bit older, and we talked. I would see him at the transplant clinic every now and then, and he I think he only lived like 4 years, 3-4 years after transplant. Maybe less. I'm not really sure. I know that it was. I would always see him with his mom, and then, at one point I heard he got real sick and he passed away. When I talked to the nurse and I talked to their staff, I was not told, but I was like, it's one of those things where you got, they're careful about. They don't tell you details or anything, but I was told that he didn't take his medication. He stopped taking it because you feel like you're fine. I'll be honest. I feel like I could stop taking my medication, but because I don't feel sick, but it's something that's saving your life, and you have to take so much, you can't take it for granted, So when this young man, he stopped taking his medication, I don't know how long, but basically it killed him, So that's why, taking your medication is so important, because that's what's saving your life. As a transplant patient, your body is going to reject anything that's not yours. So my heart is not my heart, and my body will eventually try to fight it off. So that's what the medication is there for. It's keeping my immune system low so it doesn't fight it off. And I understand the thinking that you're fine. It's just like when people say like, oh, you're taking medication and the doctor gives you medication for 10 days. After 5 days, 6 days, you feel like you're better. But the reason why they make you take it for 10 days so you really knock out everything so it doesn't come back. That's something like transplant. Your immune system's eventually going to kick back in, and it's going to want to fight off what it is. Hopefully one day they're able to change that. You hear stories, but as of right now, your medication is saving your life. So that's the story about medication. Why, I think that being in the hospital for 7 months, the best thing I took away from that was, really understanding the consequences if I don't take this serious, and I stopped taking my medication. And I'm sure, there was other cases, so many cases at that before then, where people, stopped taking it, and then, the consequences were deadly, or they got, they end up getting rejection, they end up getting sick, it could a lot of things could happen. So that's what I learned from it. What I think, why I wanted to share this was, for anybody who sees this, if you're a transplant patient or somebody who might have a transplant in the future, understanding the consequences to it, and why it's so important to take your medication. And for just everybody, personal responsibility, I think is so important. You can't always count on other people to do things for you. No matter how much, say my parents were like, you got to take your medication. If I didn't want to take it, I wouldn't take it. Nobody could force anybody to really do more, for a long period of time, what they don't want to do. But I understand the consequences to it. I understand how important it is to me. And, I was given the gift of life by somebody who passed away, and I wouldn't take that for granted. So it's not always, life or death, but, if somebody hears this and, later on they have a friend or family member who is gonna need a transplant, or God forbid, I don't wish that on anybody, but they would understand some of what they're gonna go through, and would help try to let them know some of what they heard. That's the biggest thing I tell people. I stress about medication, because I do meet, I haven't with COVID, but I do meet with quite a bit of patients who are going to wait for who are going to have transplant. I'm on a lot of transplant groups, and so yeah, that's my theme. That's my first Sunday story. I hope you guys liked it. I'm gonna work on getting it like packaged up a little bit better, and I'll start sharing it more. Again, thank you for watching. Anybody that's on, Manny, thank you. I think Kevin also, Lisa. Let's see. If anybody's interested in joining my Facebook group, I'll be talking about that more. Let me know. I'll put the link in the link in it. And thank you. All right.